Oi oi! Welcome to episode, I think it's episode 5 of Comic Book Collecting for beginners, and with beginners this time. As you can see at the bottom left hand side of the screen, we've got the Twitch chat live on here. So I've asked the community to join us today to basically ask any questions that we can do, because we've done a few we've done a few episodes and focuses. It does feel weird, doesn't it? It's really odd. But a few episodes on this subject. But the best way to do this is to be able to answer questions as we're going as well. Because if somebody has the same question as you, someone else can have that question answered by the fact that, you know, it's there or there, right there. So what we're going to start with is what gives a comic book value. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about the very intrinsic nature of a comic book. We have jobs, leave us alone. Go away, Mooncake. Right, so what gives a comic book value? And we're going to use magical, super... Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that, keys. So Mr. Destroyer 420, which is... 620, but 420 would have been cooler. Just please take note there. Who is also Carson, one of our Whatnot moderators, has the explanation there. We're going to use my magic. You see... Where are we? You see... Where's my finger? There. You see there? Yeah, watch this. Bang! Didn't work. Let's try it again. Bang, bang! Right, we've got Superboy, issue number 68. Now, Carsten, I'm going to ask you, what gives this comic book value? What is it specifically about this book that makes it worth so much money? High grades of this are in the thousands. So what is it about this book that... Actually, I'm not going to ask Carsten. He's too much of an idiot. So, anyone... There are Supermans instead of one. You know, it is a first appearance. Right, there you go. So Giant Mooncake says there's 2 Supermans. Kind of. And Destroyer says it's a first appearance. It is a first appearance. So, first we're going to start on... It's not low print run, I don't believe. I mean, it would be low print run because it's an older book. But other than that, it is a key issue. And that's what we're going to focus on here. What's a key issue is a story arc changing event, or that's one definition of a key. So it can be a first appearance of a character, it can be a wedding of a character, a death of a character. The problem is, where it gets confusing with keys is it doesn't stop there. Keys can be fucking anything. For example, we've got first artwork on a series, we've got artist's first work on a series, we've got artist's last work on a series, iconic covers, and first appearances don't have to be like first appearance of Superman. It can be the first appearance of Jeff's mum's Aunt Petunia and her kitten's cousin's Doris. The bigger the relevance and the more the story arc is changed by the key event, the more the book is worth. So for example, this one, if we switch over to, it's like, what's that? Is it Art Attack? Here's one I made earlier. We're going to switch over to Shaboom. Look me, I'm little now. Little bald man in the corner. So now we're going to switch over to here. And we are going to search for Superboy. And then nothing happens, apparently. There we go. Superboy, 1949 start. This comic up here is number 68. Can you guys see the full screen? Yeah, I just want to make sure that this is all visible to everybody on Twitch, because I realised that I'm using a widescreen. I have sorted. It's not really. It's not. Right. Anyway, moving the fuck on. Superboy 68. So we're going to scroll down. We've got 50 as the last one on that page. You can just type at the top and it'll skip it, but it's quite interesting doing it this way. 68. There you go. So we've got first appearance and death of Bizarro Superboy. So it's not just a first appearance, but it is also a death. This is from 1958, which is the edge of the Golden Age. Some would class this as Golden Age. And it's got a high key collector value of £4,500. This graded. So if we go to here, we're going to eBay and we'll type Superboy 68, 1958. And we'll put CGC. So we want to know what this is worth, grading the potential values. What we'll do then is click on Advanced. This is how you access the sold listings. You go down to sold items. We will revisit this. It's just one example, then we'll break it down. So sold items, search. From here, you can see a 3.0 of this went for £335. A raw, I've actually been in this one. This is missing pages, went for 175. A 2.5, 352. 2.5, 336 offer accepted. There's very little in terms of good grades. 6.5 CBCS. That is the last one of that comic sold. That means that this is even rarer than I expected. I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't really looked at this yet. So I would estimate the one that we've got to be around a 6 to 7. So would price this, probably gauging by this, at around 600 to 700. Graded, not raw. That's a very important factor. But that's just like what you would do to spotlight value. Hang on a second, I need to move the screen back because the white is making it so that I can't see the questions. Should sell me it to Destroyer. A poll is going on. There is no poll, so I don't know why it's saying that. You shut up, Mr. Streamlabs. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is break down that process. So we've covered what gives the comics. Do you know the worst part about doing this live is that I can't go back and change bits, so I've got to do this in one continuous thing. Thanks for voting on nothing, Chocky, you bell. But where do we get to? So before we checked up the price, I was explaining what a key issue is. Now, one of the things that people kind of mistake when they're talking about value is that they think that age itself gives a book value, and that's not true at all. Age is a multiplier of value. So take again this book up here, for example, the Superboy number 68. If this didn't have a key, if this didn't have the first appearance and death of Bizarro, this, despite the fact it's 1958, which could be classed as golden age, despite that fact, this could be worth 20 quid, 25 pounds. Age does give it a small bump up from like £1 or 15 pence or whatever kind of price you're looking at. But if this didn't have a key in it, this would be worth a fraction of what it is. Now, if you think about, say, the comic book as a container, the key issue, the key event inside that issue goes in that box. And over time, that box expands and that fucking key issue grows and grows and grows. So, like, say, for example, you have a Amazing Fantasy 15, first Spider-Man. That key event in there is massive. So it already starts big. You go along with age that multiplies that key event, and that key is growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's the multiplication of the value. Whereas if you have a comic book with no key event, it's just a container with nothing in it. Maybe the container might get a bit bigger, but there's no real value in it as it goes on. That is the basic, very, very basic definition of comic book value. That is what gives it. Now, there are some issues which would not be classed as a key that hold value, and some of these defy reason. They're very, very rare. Some of them are just ones because they are, or it might be because they haven't been picked up as keys yet, things like that. But that is the general golden rule of thumb, is if it hasn't got a key issue, it's not going to hold any true value. Keep in mind, even things like iconic covers can be a key. Like, for example, Batman 423. Nothing important. I'll show you what that is so that we're on the same page. Nothing important happens in Batman 423. So if we go back... Oh, okay. That was not what I was trying to put up. Let's move that away. If we go back to this, and we go to Batman 423... This is the cover. This, I mean, we all recognise this. Can you see the literal definition is iconic cover by Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane, the Todd father. He's a major player in the cover book game. The book cover game. Fucking cover book. And you can see that this Batman 423 hasn't got anything about it other than the fact that the cover art is beautiful. It's minimalistic. It's iconic. It's a book that pretty much everybody will recognise. It's one of the best covers out there, to be fair. Same as things like Wolverine 1. Oh, okay, take it back. That does have a first cameo appearance in there. First cameo Yukio, and first use of the phrase, I'm the best of what I do. First Wolverine solo title. Scrap that one. Ignore I loaded that one up. See, this is where I need to pause and edit, but I'm live, and now, yeah. Somebody give me another iconic cover. Hulk 340. Hulk 340. So this one, literally just an iconic cover. Incredible Hulk 340. No major things in there that should give it any real value. Other than that, has anybody got any other? Wolverine 8. Fantastic one. Wolverine 8. That is iconic cover art by John Buscema featuring Wolverine and the Hulk as a Joe Fixit persona. And it's got a Rob Liefeld back cover. That's another great one. I mean, that is a beautiful cover. It's probably one of my favourite. But the iconic cover game is strong and it can really affect the value. So that's where key events become a little bit tenuous, because you can get brand new books that fit into that category if they're popular enough. So Now we're going to break down what I did at the beginning with the Superboy book. So say, for example, we want to look up... Let's go for Hulk 340 because it's a cover that everybody loves and knows. So you can see that my very first step here would be to be putting in the details in Key Collector. The great thing about Key Collector is it is the world's largest repository. Is that the word? Repository. One of them means putting things up the bum, and it's not that one. I mean, I don't know what they get up to in their spare time at Key Collector, but I'm fairly sure it's not that. But it's the world's largest documented database of key issues ever. So what you would do, you would take your title, you'd put it in here, you'd see if it has any value potential. Okay, thank you, Carson, for that. Very, very helpful. You put the title in here, and you'd see if it has any potential value. If it doesn't come up as a key issue, it generally means that it's probably not going to hold as much value as you were hoping. Now, the problem is, what is listed here, the low, mid, and high, are not entirely accurate. For one, this is a US-based crawler, and it crawls its data from the States. The States is the market-leading country for comic books. The market is stronger, the market is more popular, the market is more successful. Comic books are much more expensive in the States. So one of the things, and I'm probably going to make a lot of people miserable here, that I hear all the time is, no, you don't. You do not need a subscription to view this information. I would recommend, and I'm not sponsored, I don't have any affiliate links, but I would recommend subscribing to Key Collector because it's under a tenner for like, I don't know if it's a month or a year. I mean, do you know what? We'll have a quick look. I'm not even logged in. Oh, it doesn't tell you the prices. So you can create a free account, but there is a premium subscription, which I think is like £5 or £6, like a month maybe. It used to be like £2 and it went up. But it sounds weird, but I genuinely, if you're looking to make money on comic books, don't do it if you're not looking to make profit. If you're just collecting and you want the key database, that is completely free to use. You don't need an account. But I mean, it's an amazing website, and I would personally recommend supporting it and signing up, increase their numbers, then, you know, they'll be around for longer. But the subscription-based one is, it would give you notifications when things are optioned, when there's industry leaks, all of the information that will lead to comic books spiking in value. So, I mean, like, for example, when Lobo was cast, you know, what was his name? Jason Momoa was cast as Lobo. You'd get a notification saying, breaking news, Jason Momoa cast as Lobo. You'd click that, you'd look at it, and then you'd rush over to eBay and you'd buy all of the Omega Men 3s, which is the first appearance of Lobo, because that's the role that Jason Momoa was born to play. It's like Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. So it makes money. It's definitely worth it. You can make money just using Key Collector and buying out optioned books and industry leaks and stuff like that. I've just realised that around 4 I'm going to have to go. We'll have to pause the recording because I've got the business pickups coming. So we'll stick them out and then I'll come back. In answer to your question, you don't need a subscription, but if you want to make money, do it. It's worth it. It's cheap. Everything is visible without it. Right, so as I was saying, you've reached this stage. You can see the prices, low, mid, and high. And you think, what the fuck is this? Like, where does this lay? And you might think, oh, I'd say this is somewhere between mid and high, which means it would be 150. This is the main thing that people fall down on. You need to gauge your book very accurately based on condition. Condition is a defining factor, and that is another multiplier for value, in as well as age. So you've got the key, you've got the condition, you've got the age so far. So key, condition, age. Say for example we've got, I don't know, a 7 to an 8.0 raw estimate grade. Gauging by this, that looks like it would be around 130, 140. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here. This is your next step that you do every time, because Key Collector prices are not always accurate. They're often not accurate. You use it for the keys, not the pricing. And then if we go Hulk 340, and at this stage don't press enter because there are millions of facsimiles and reprints and stuff like that. You want to check the year, so 1988. So make sure you put the title and the year. We go in, and here we go. We've got a 9.6 sold for 370, an 8.5 209. We've got a raw at 214. So that is actually pretty fucking accurate. So 275 US dollars. That is 203 to 216 pounds. So that is dead bang on. I'm really impressed with that. So my point was actually going to be to not take Key Collector Comics values at face value. It was actually going to be to check them, which I still stand by, but it does look like Key Collector are improving their accuracy. That is exactly bang on, and that sold on the 17th of January, which was 2 days ago. So yeah, that's really impressive. That's really good. But obviously the next step would be, or if we go back to what I was saying, and we don't need that thingy up there anymore. What I was saying would be check. Never just go by that. And one of the main things to always be aware of, and it's something that I've noticed, not so much in the comic book category, because most people know this, but it's in other categories where they're selling comics. Like I've noticed recently, where the Funko Pop market is dying, a lot of people are starting to try and sell comics. They're not doing it in the comic book category, they're doing it in the Funko Pop category, and they're just fabricating prices. Like there's one seller that's quite large, obviously not going to mention any names, and please don't mention any names in the chat, I don't want that kind of thing. But there's a Funko Pop seller that is going on eBay for sale. So what we'll see, you've got a £214 Incredible Hulk there. If we switch the filter off and we go to for sale, you will see prices like £378. And what I've noticed as well is if you look closely, they've always got it organised by highest. So they'll go like this, and they'll go in, they'll be like, oh look, graded, it's over £1,000. Oh look at that. Oh, there you go, there's a raw one for £448. And he's talking about Rolf Harris. Yeah, Ralphie does this. And that's when I can't say that. Why are you baiting me out? But yeah, so do not ever take a for sale listing as price. It's not price. The reason it's there, the reason it's still for sale, is because it's listed at a ridiculous price and no one will pay it. That is why you check as well. Yeah, absolutely. So that is one of the main factors. If you go on someone's show and there is always the chance that they don't know. Why is the graded one less than the ungraded one there? Because people are idiots. That's pretty much it. But I mean, as I said, there is always the chance that perhaps it's a new seller and they think that's how you price comic books. And so I'm not saying if you go into a show and people are like, oh look, you shouldn't do that. Matt from Fantasy Road, the bald god, Sexy B his name, said don't do that because it makes you a wanker. Don't say that in the show. Just say, sorry mate, you might not know, but you need to check the sold listings, because the for sale listings will always be higher. Don't start beef. Give people the benefit of a doubt. Treat people how you want to be treated. That's why I call everyone a wanker, because yeah, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, so that then they ban you. That's true. Yeah, if you mention it and they ban you, it's because they know what they're doing and they're being dishonest. So that is the step-by-step process to work out value. So we're going to do it again. You identify a comic book. We'll do another one. We'll do one more step by step. This is only ever going to be a quick video, and afterwards I'll open it up to answer any questions that you might have in the process. So somebody give me a comic book that we want to find out the value of, and we will look it up and we'll do the process to see step by step what you do the moment you want to buy something. So any comic book. What's someone's favourite comic book? I'll go the first one that someone says. New Mutants 98. Carson, that's actually a really good one. Right, New Mutants 98. There's another lesson to be learned in this one as well. So New Mutants 98 is the first appearance of Deadpool. First appearance of Deadpool, first appearance of Copycat, first appearance of Gideon. Now, what you can see here, which might be confusing to some people, is there are 3 books that look exactly the same. I know a lot of you will know the difference here. You should use GPA, but Dread, that is a subscription-based website. So if you're buying comic books, that's a good point. Bring that up again when we go to questions, and I'll answer that, and I'll show you what comic book GPA looks like for the people that hasn't seen it before. I should have ended this poll. I don't even know what it is, but yeah. Okay, so what you're looking at here, you've got 3 different New Mutants 98, and these 2 look identical. This one you can see down here in the bottom left-hand corner. That box there, that black box there means it's direct. It's the UPC box. It's black. It hasn't got a barcode. It means it's direct. We're going off on a tangent here. Actually, I've got another video. If you want to learn the difference between the different variants that look the same, watch that other YouTube video. So we're not going to go off on a tangent too much of it here. But what we are going to say is this one has a barcode at the bottom left. You can see the price here is 400 and 600. This means it's a newsstand. Barcode, scannable. A newsstand is literally something that used to be sold on the streets of America. I don't think they did them in the UK. In the streets of America, that you could pick up off a newsstand. They scan it in on the sidewalk and you just fuck off. So why are newsstands rarer? That's a good question as well. They're not always. This is where it gets complicated. Let me see if I can find a diagram, because basically newsstands were released in 1979. Before that were just comic books. Anything prior to 1979 that has a barcode, another thing that sellers do, they pretend it's a newsstand. If it's 1979 or earlier, it's not a newsstand, it's just a comic book. They all had barcodes, or they didn't have any barcode at all. It was introduced in 1979 as a way, like a point of sale, so they could scan. It was something to scan as the technology increased. Newsstands from 1979 and the earlier years, they did, yeah, but that wasn't specifically to do with newsstand, that was just comics in general. We'll go to that as well, but you have to remind me. In 1979 to around 1983, around that range, newsstands were more common than direct. So newsstands in that range, in the earlier range, with exception, are worth less than direct. Some directs are much rarer than newsstand. Let me see if we can find a diagram. Newsstand versus direct comic diagram. Let's see if that brings anything up. Here we go. Open link in new window. Nope, that's someone's Facebook post. It's a really low. That's easy enough. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Let me see if I can open the image. Copy image address. And I'll just open it there. So can I zoom in? Here we go. So Greg Holland's brilliant newsstand distribution rarity chart. So thank you, Greg Holland, whoever you are, for this. So as you can see here, this is 1979. The newsstand editions, as it crosses, which is about 1986, the rarity begins to increase on newsstands. And this is where... Do you guys know what a direct edition is? I'll explain anyway. So... Fuck you, Craig. So, what a direct edition is you know when you have a pull list and you order your books, direct is ordered direct from the printing press, from a publisher, from a shop. You place your order, that order goes into the master spreadsheet. At the time of printing, your order is specifically printed for you because you've placed that order. So if 1,500 people order direct, or a shop orders stock of 500, all of those are direct. The only ones that are printed as newsstands are ones that don't have an owner at the point of printing. They can go to newsstands and stuff to be picked up, like I said. So that became more popular in 1986, which is where these lines cross over. At the beginning, as you can see all the way through to 1986, newsstands are far more common than direct. So if you find a newsstand between 1979 to 1974, you want to check the direct pricing, because the direct is worth more than a newsstand at this point. You cross this point, and then the direct becomes absolutely disgustingly more common than anything. At this point, sort of around 1991, you're looking at about 5% of each print run was newsstand, which is why newsstands are rarer. There's no difference to the story, literally just a box on the bottom, but because they're classed as a different comic, but because of that, it's technically part of the art, they're rarer. So New Mutants 98 is 1991, which falls on this chart around here. So that's around the 5% of the print run mark. So as it gets further down here, you're probably looking at about 2% of the print run. It's not it's a fine graph to explain the rarity and how direct and newsstand work, but it's not entirely accurate because it would be a sharper line. It's not just straight. For example, you can find some of the newer books in newsstands which are worth like £5 in a direct, but in a newsstand they're worth like £400. So very, very much always check when you find a book, whether it's a newsstand or a direct, that will affect the price drastically. The other thing to mention in this screen here is Mark Jewelers. Now, what a Mark Jewelers is an insert. Do you think when collectors are looking, they actually care if it's a newsstand or not? Yes. Yeah, very much. Because there's a lot of people that are completionists. And what they'll do is buy... Say there's a completionist that's collecting New Mutants 98. They'll get the direct. Then they'll get the newsstand. Then they'll get the jewelers. So, yeah, people do. And if you take things to auction, they very much do. Like, you'll see Mark Jewelers go for silly money. Mark Jewelers... Oh, there you go. Another one is 5% of the print run, including in these advertisements. A Mark Jewelers insert. Mark Jewelers insert is usually blue, and it's in the centerfold section. It's usually made of card, so they're actually quite easy to differentiate, even looking down from the top of the box. I did find some recently, but I don't know what I've put with them, otherwise I'd show you. But there you go, there's a great picture of it. That is in the centerfold of a book. That's all it is. That's what it looks like. Here you go. What am I doing? I don't want to copy the link. I want to copy the image address. There we go. There we go. So that's what it looks like. That is a Mark Jewelers insert, and that is less than 5% of the print run on any given run. That doesn't change. Like, the percentage of books that contain these inserts are always 5%. They were only distributed around military sites in the US. There were jewelers that were near certain military sites in the US, and they're the ones that received it, because there's no point doing it if it was only local delivery and you're doing it fuck knows where away. Exactly, yeah. So it's to do with basically print runs, which someone made a point of earlier, which another point, low print runs is a key factor. So to show what I'm talking about with the low print run things, if we go back to this and we go to The Last of Us, any of The Last of Us, okay, this series though, so if we go to this one, you can see that this is low print run at just 6,032 issues. If we toggle off variants. Number 2 is 4,991. Number 3 is 5,014. Number 4 is 7,138. The entire print run is low print run. Yeah, of course you have, man. All real collectors have got one of this set sat around. I've got one sat in a drawer behind me, a complete set. So yeah, it's kind of answering a lot of questions and also opening a lot of questions. Invincible was mostly all print run as well. Yeah, very good point. Get fucked. I'm not doing that. The game's great, but so key events can be pretty much anything. Key events add value. Key events are what give a comic book value. Did we even do the extra example? So we're going to use New Mutants 98. We're going to go back to that. So as I said, so say we're buying a New Mutants 98. That is our mission right now. We want to buy it. So we're thinking this guy on Whatnot has got this up for £400. New Mutants 98. So first thing what we do, we put it in Key Collector. As I said, this is toggling it to the issue variant, not the series. So you can have series or issue or a bunch of other things in there. And then you'll see, first you want to look at the fact, is it a direct or is it a newsstand? And you see it's a direct, so this is the one we're concentrating on. It's got a Key Collector high value of $400. $400 is... £298 to £300. So it's about £298. Now, at that point, the guy's got it up at 400. You should be thinking, fuck, well... is this worth it? Then you take into consideration that that's the top end of it, but what you want to do to verify that pricing, and this is the most important step, is to go to eBay. So you go to eBay. We're going to start it from the main page. You can put it in the search bar. You can just copy it from New Mutants, from Key Collector. New Mutants 98, Marvel 1991. You click that and you can see people have got them for sale. Wow, that's actually a really good price, £187. Hang on a minute. That looks like a facsimile. That is a facsimile. That barcode is too close to the side. I can't see the price because there's a thing on it. So that's probably someone trying their luck. And then you click advanced. You go to sold items. And you can see 179 for a direct. 280 offer accepted. So even offer accepted is less than what they're asking. 215. 208. These are all offer accepted as well. So at this point, you can see that it's very much not worth the £400 asking that someone is trying to sell it for. You've even got a Newsstand there for 186. Someone got a phenomenal deal there. That's a really good price. 223. So, I mean, looking at these, I would say, depending on the condition, you should be paying up to £250. If it's very high end and you think it's going to be a 9.8, 250, even 300. One of the things to note is if you're buying from someone you trust, it is worth paying a premium to get something that you know you're going to get and you know that they're honest. There's plenty of people on Whatnot or eBay that are regular sellers that deserve that premium. I'm not saying they should be selling it for more, but personally, me as a buyer, I would pay a little bit more to know that it's coming from a trusted source and someone that I can rely on. Exactly, like Fantasy Road. What a fucking geezer. But yeah, but you get my point. So between 250 maximum from a random, maybe up to your discretion, like 280 at maximum for someone that you would willingly pay a premium to get exactly what you're paying for. Yeah, people should be more honest. Like what? Yeah, exactly, man. So we've got the New Mutants 98 that we know we're not buying because it says £400, and it's 223 at the last non-offer accepted high end. So there you go, that's how you price that. Now, my doorbell is going to go any minute, so I will have to pause the video and come back. But what we're going to do now is we are going to open up the floor to questions. Please keep it about pricing and value. We can do variants, anything to do with it. But ask questions and I will answer them in the order they come in. We're not going to do this for a massive amount of time. Just the kind of things that you think that people may... I do, yeah, but I'm also mega tight. And I can do it myself, I just don't have time. Do I like LEDs, as in lights? No, fucking hate them, mate. If we have no questions, it's good. It means I can end it. Didn't you say you had to get... Yeah, it fell through. Really annoyingly, I was literally about to leave and they messaged me saying that they're not going to get back in time, and it's not going to be for a couple of weeks now, so that's a pain in the ass, which is why I did this. Mr. Board 98, if you're in here, just post a mail call saying thank you for your delivery. You're most welcome, dude. Variant covers, as in modern variant covers. Carson, are you talking like what type of variant covers are you talking about? I had to pick the person with like the big chubby sausage fingers. It takes like an hour to reply. Oh, you're most welcome, dude. I struggle to match up who's who with the different names on Twitch and Whatnot and bloody Discord and stuff. Modern variants. It follows the same rule, to be totally honest, dude. I would say, in general, from a value perspective, if you are looking to build a collection that will appreciate over time, something to like your kids to inherit or money to retire on, you shouldn't be buying modern, as in new modern, at all. There's no real value in modern. There are exceptions, Ultimate Spider-Man 1, Absolute Batman 1, things like that. And you can make money with modern stuff to an extent. The problem is, like, for example, we'll concentrate on Absolute Batman 1. Absolute Batman 1 is currently in a hype cycle. So what happens with that is the price booms. It will probably reach an all-time high for a modern comic, and then it will flatten. For example, the exact same thing happened with Ultimate Spider-Man 1. Now, I'm not saying go out and sell all of your Absolute Batmans, because the problem is with this is no... So ignore the fact the video just jumped. We ran out of space on the disc because, as everybody knows, my PC is breaking. Fun times. I can't remember where I got to, which is going to be ridiculous. So, because to anyone that's watching this, it's going to be like blah blah blah. Absolute Batman. But I was talking about Batman and Ultimate Spider-Man, wasn't I? So exactly the same thing happened with Ultimate Spider-Man, and that was that it was the best new thing since blah blah blah. It's the amazing new universe, new stories, blah blah blah. Ultimate Spider-Man 1 reached £150. It was one of the most graded comic books of the year, for the entire year, aside from Spider-Man 7, which I told everyone not to bother with. And that reached £150 for a Raw, and that's now 50, 60 quid. I personally believe that will absolutely happen with Absolute Batman. Absolutely happen, no pun intended. But there is always the chance that it won't. Nobody is ever going to completely know the market, because if they are, I mean, if I knew exactly what was going to happen with the comic book market at all times, I'd be far fucking richer than I am now. Can you imagine the RGB in this place if I had that much money? Boy. So yeah. Also, someone said just download the VOD from Twitch. Mine's not set to record on Twitch. I only have the lives, so I'm only visible, which I need to change. I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point. But yeah, so does that answer your question, Carson? Are you even still here since it last crashed out? For new collectors, a lot of older comics and keys are out of the budget for them. For the new collectors, what would you recommend? This is going to be a bit of a shameless plug, but if you buy with me, and you're a member of the Fantasy Road Discord community, which I will post a link to join in the YouTube video, or you can just go to fantasyroad.co.uk and click join on the button in the community page. As long as you've got Discord, it will fire you in there. But what I do, and I do this isn't to profit myself. I will allow people to stack, be it in the Whatnot shows or in the Discord, mainly in the Discord. And what stack means is, say for example, you wanted a £1,000 book, you can stack it with me. You pay a 10% deposit, 0 interest, like Klarna, except Klarna charge you out your ass in interest, and you pay it back when you can. We don't even need a necessarily like strict, like you have to pay each week, or you have to pay. I'm back, YouTube, no need to worry. Klarnosaurus, yeah, exactly. This is the king of Klarna here. But you can just pay it when you've got some excess money. I'm not the kind of person that would chase people for money. Like Carson knows, he's had a massive stack with me and pays it over time. I don't think I've ever chased him. He just sends money randomly every now and then. He might have even paid it off for all I know. But yeah, so if it's we try and make the unaffordable affordable by making it so that anyone of any income can pay for that. We kind of brings us on to Klarna. I personally, I'm not a massive fan of Klarna. I've never used it in my life, but I would avoid it. It's a trap. It's a proper trap. Oh yeah, there you go. So Carson's still paying me off. But in terms of ones that you can't afford, and going back to your question, are you asking because it's collectors? Oh, there you go. There's the door. The turkey, the gobble gobble. I'll be right back. Right, we're back. Right. Yeah, so in terms of what you're talking about, Chucky, but the reason I don't add interest is because the payments that are made are forfeit. So that covers us. We actually have a legal document about it and everything like that. So basically the rule is if you pay into it, that money is gone. So it covers off if you drop the stack. Then we use that to cover the stuff that we've lost by holding it if the market changes, so it protects both of us. In terms of value, if you're collecting for value, I mean, my personal opinion is, unless you have a safe way to do things, for example, like the method I just mentioned, is don't do it. You should never spend more than your means, and there's always a risk when it comes to purchases. If you're buying from someone that you don't know, they could be scamming you for a start, or you could get the book in, you could send it for grading, it looks lovely, and it comes back because you don't have the knowledge, and it says there's pages missing, which affects story, which gives it a green label. The value's decimated, you've lost that money. When it comes to spending large sums, do your homework, your due diligence, and make sure that you're able to spend that money. And then in terms of reading, if you just want a book because you want to read it and it's unaffordable, buy the facsimile. With pretty much any high-end book, there is a reprint or facsimile that exists that is very cheap. They're usually under a tenner. There are exceptions, like there are some golden record reprints of like Journey into Mystery 83, which is still a couple of hundred and things like that. Yeah, no, it's definitely something you want to check. If you've bought a book, a high value book, you can just Google page count for that issue, and then count the pages or get them to count the pages and sent you it, because the amount of times we've found high value books, and luckily we haven't sold them. Actually, there was one occasion where we sold a book to somebody in the show, in a Whatnot show, in one of our Whatnot shows. They requested it be pressed and cleaned and graded because it was fucking lovely. It was really, really nice. And I said yes, of course. I sent grading for them. It wasn't pressed and cleaned. It was just sent. And despite the fact that it wasn't pressed and cleaned, it came back. I can't remember what it was. Maybe? Was it you, Dredd? Was it your book? Is that what I'm talking about right now? Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, it was a comic. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was a Daredevil. I think it was Sam, on the Discord. Sorry, as in, he's a seller and whatnot as well. Nemesis, and he, when the book arrived back to me, it was a green label. Yeah, he does. Yeah, Sam's brilliant. Hard recommend with Nemesis. So the book came back to me. It had a green label. And essentially, because I sold it, I contacted him and refunded him in full, because that's my responsibility. But that's just an example of how easy it is to miss. The page, it turns out, was professionally removed. So unless you count the pages, even if you look through it, you wouldn't have seen it. And although it wasn't pressed and cleaned, it was... What did I do with the book? I still gave him it. I let him keep it, and I refunded him in full. So, like, it's... To me, I mean, this is dependent on whichever seller it is, but I feel like the buyers in our shows and you guys on Discord, we're more of a community. I see you guys more as friends. Getting all soppy on you lot now. So I mean, it's like, what other outcome was there? To me, there wasn't any other outcome in that situation. It was literally, yeah, fuck you, Chocky, other than you. Yeah, exactly, things like that. You've got to be very aware of Marvel value stamps, because if you don't know what Marvel value stamp is, they were in the early 70s into early 80s, and no, not your friend either, Carson. They were literally printed stamps in the comic books, which people would cut out and put in a big sort of collector's thing, and then they'd send off to Marvel when they completed it and get a prize. I don't know why they removed the page. I reckon the page was torn and they had it professionally removed so that they could sell it at some point and somebody wouldn't notice, and that's exactly what happened. So I bought it and then I sold it on, and then I assume responsibility with it. But when it comes to comic book value, the reason I mention this isn't like, look at me, my customer service is brilliant. I'm just saying it is so doable. It's really important to look through. Exactly, I got fooled. I didn't notice it. I didn't perform a page count because I didn't press and clean it. If we press and clean, we page count before we send it. Or maybe I did, maybe I forgot, I don't remember. But generally we'll have a flick through, we'll record the pages, we'll record any major defects and photograph bits. But Sam's a mate, so I mean there was no other outcome to me. And then he used that voucher to absolutely fuck me by getting a Hulk 340 for a tenner. Prick. But yeah, any other questions, or is this the end of the video? I do need to go soon because my lovely lady is arriving back, and I've left the house in a proper shithole. I don't want to be murdered in my sleep. Any questions? Are we good? Is this enough information for this one? Because I was going to say, how can that be your fault, though? Because you can't be expected to count all pages of every book you got. Generally, it's a bit of a point of contention with pressing and cleaning, because technically, it's not my responsibility. We shouldn't have to count each page. The person that sent the book should be doing their due diligence. We do it sometimes and as much as we remember, because it reflects badly on us as pressing and cleaners. If a book comes back green label, they'll be like, well, why didn't you tell me? It's like, well, I'm not gonna, it's not part of my role. If you want me to go and clean a book and, like, do you know what I mean, that kind of stuff, then like it should be at that stage. You're paying for a pressing and cleaning. You're not paying for authentication. But we do it because of the fact that when that situation arises, if it ever arises again, it does look bad on us. So we just do it anyway now. What should you look for when guessing a rough grade in a comic? That is a very hard question, which we'll probably do an entire episode on, because it's long and it's not the kind of question we can answer in like 10 minutes. But what I will say is the main things to look out for, and this is a very surface basic level, is the corners. You'll be surprised at how much corner damage affects things, and even if it's very slightly, it has to be, like when I say sharp, you press your finger on it and it you know, there's a little, not a sting, but you can feel the pressure of the point. Surface damage, surface dirt, the spine is a huge one. The spine has to be flawless. I would learn the difference between spine ticks, spine stress, colour breaking spine ticks, and all of the other types of spine damage. Cover wear, cover rub, ink rub, all of this stuff. Like, we will do another video and I'll maybe do that live, because I mean this went quite well. Hopefully it makes it a little bit more engaging. But we will do an entire video on grading practices and CGC practices. Another thing that makes it confusing is CGC seem very inconsistent with their grading principles lately. Like, for example, I had a book that I sent off that I thought was going to be a 2 or a 3 and it came back a 9.4. And then I had a book that I was certain was going to be a 9.8 and it came back a 6. So, yeah, it's kind of up in the air a lot of the time. So how do you grade yourself? What about in a scenario where someone has bought from a stream and you press and clean before CGC? Would you check then? We do. We do in general. Although we're not required to or obligated to, like I explained before, we do it because if that situation arises and they bought it from us and it went to CGC, and it turns out it was missing pages or something, they could see that as our responsibility. And especially if I sold them the comic book, I would shoulder that responsibility regardless. So say for example you bought a comic from me tonight and it was missing 2 pages, you sent it for grading, I would do exactly the same thing as I did with Nemesis and I'd refund you in full. So would you say it's worth grading a non-expensive book if it holds sentimental value? Abso-fucking-lutely. You don't just want to grade things for value. They're like, that's one way of collecting. Sentimental value is as much of a relevant subject as financial value, as monetary value. Sentimental value, if not, is more important. If you've inherited a book from your dad who passed away, or your granddad, or something like that, and it's their favourite book, if I had something like that, I would grade that in an absolute fucking heartbeat. I would treasure that shit. Grading is a method of preservation. It stops the book from breaking down. It's basically in a time capsule. If it's done correctly, it shouldn't move. It doesn't matter if the inner lining moves within the CGC case, but the book shouldn't move inside the inner lining. Once it's in there, you're not going to lose any value. You're not going to, like sentimental value included, it's not going to degrade. Anything that means anything to me, unless your sentimentality that is attached to it is from internal and you want to read the story and it's the actual story sentimental, then grade the fuck out of it, because that will be with you forever. You can look at it, you can remember it. It's like attaching a memory to an item and you can just treasure it. Do you know what I mean? Fucking beyond yes. Grade sentimental things unless you want it open and you can read it, because you lose the ability to read it. Can't you buy a book that helps you grade? You can. So you can literally buy CGC grading practices. I actually have one in here somewhere. It's a big hardback book. It's quite helpful. Problem is you have to buy one every year because the grading practices are constantly evolving. And it gives you the deduction scales of like certain defects, what grade can be achieved if it has a certain defect, things like that. Which when we do the grading show, I'll find that and we'll go through it during the show as well, so we can see what their grading practices are and things like that. I don't know, Dredd, genuinely. I opened it live in the show as well and everyone was blown away. I can't even remember what book it was, but it was fucking mad. It might have been a Batman Adventures 12, First Harley Quinn. And like it had spine ticks, sticker residue, all sorts. When people send you stuff, when people send stuff for you to send off to grade, how much do you add on top if I just send it myself? I don't know. I don't know what the current prices are. I don't know what it is. The problem is with sending it yourself. You pay for the postage. You pay when you send something to CGC. You pay a fee on top of the grading price per book for the order, and it doesn't matter if that order is 1 book or 25 books, which is the full order. You pay the same price. That fee is non-negotiable. It's something I don't even tell you about. It's a service fee, which is why people tend to send it to facilitators like us, because then you don't have to worry about insurance, courier transport, pickup, collection, anything like that. So that's what that is. Did it look? Yeah, it looks shit, man. The one that came back much higher still looks shit, and I don't know how we got that grade. But I'm not going to complain. Better a higher grade than a lower grade. Any other questions? We've got... Did I sell it on? I think I've still got it. I don't remember. It might have sold. I think it might have sold. Yeah, I think it sold in the show. I think somebody wanted it from the show after seeing it and us talking about the grade. So yeah, it's gone. Probably, maybe, potentially. Any other questions? No? Yes, no? Right, I think I'm gonna give 10 seconds because some people have slow fingers, and obviously typing questions. No, okay, cool. Well, I mean, I think this is go away. Thanks, Carson. I think this is a good video actually. I'm gonna work out how to try and splice these two videos together where it stopped recording before, and we'll stick it on YouTube for anyone that wants to watch it. Why am I so sexy and bald? I was just born this way, baby. Modest too. Don't forget about modest. Yeah, godlike, modest, sexy, bald. But yeah, we will do another video within the next couple of days for the next subject. We'll see how this video is received in terms of doing it. Like, I don't know how to fucking edit it, man. That's why I do them all in one stream, and now that makes it easier because I've got an excuse not editing it. Because if I do it live, then I have to do it in one, and then I'm not being lazy. I'm being clever and artistic. Yeah, and I don't know how to stop that poll thing, which I'll have to work out by next time as well. Jockey, man. Right, thank you so much, guys. It was good, it was fun. I'm gonna go now, so yeah, cheers, have a good one, and we'll do the next video, like I said, within a couple of days, and we'll potentially do it like this again. Laters, have a good time, bye bye, one love. Yeah, cool.